Hello, this is Sarah, and in this video I will be telling you about the 6th house, the sign of Virgo, and the asteroid Vesta. Now, in the 4th house, we return to our home and our roots, and then we get to the 5th house. After the 5th house, we kind of leave the safety and comfort of our home, or the 4th house, in order to have fun and express our own unique personalities. But in the 6th house, our rose-colored lenses, or in the case of the 5th house, our yellow-colored lenses are stripped away, and we must face the reality of our lives, which is the 6th house. And the 6th house naturally comes after the 5th, and it is where we must realize or remember ourselves and start back to our original perfection from how we were when we were born. And while the 5th house focuses on what we could be, the 6th house acts as sort of a reminder of what we are and meant to be. And this house is about sticking to our plans and following through with commitments. And it is about striving for perfection and good old hard work. This house refers to about the ages of 25 to 30, and it focuses on work and the duties and responsibilities that we must do here on Earth. And while the 10th house, which will be explained more in depth in a later video, describes what type of profession or work an individual will perform, the 6th house deals with work that describes how one works and how they get a job or do their job profession. And this house can also describe the nature of relationships one will have with coworkers in their place of their chosen vocation. With the nature of relationships in a workplace, this house also deals with the ideas of inequality and how we manage, how one manages authority they have or authority they're placed under, and how they react to it or how they process it. And this 6th house basically describes the way in which we use our time and the atmospheres of everyday, just the everyday mundane life in which we work or in which we work best. Or it could be described as the type of atmospheres we need in order to do our work. So this house really, it incorporates a lot of different, or at least it incorporates the broad range of work and really what work is. Just everyday life and the mundane is really a key term to use when referring to this house. People, pets, and things that one may encounter in a given day are the main focus in this house. Now, I've already stated that work is a main point when describing this house, and with work also comes the risk or the probability of overwork, which goes along with sickness. And sickness is also a main feature of this house. So this house deals with sickness as well as work, and just every day. It's kind of a boring house. Though not just sickness and ill health has to do with 6th house, but also just health and fitness in general can be applied to the health that I'm describing. So just health, how we maintain our bodies. Our bodies are like machines, so it kind of goes along with work in that way, in that we maintain, a working mechanism that keeps us alive. The need for perfection and maintenance, which can describe ways in which we work, also have a major importance with this house. And when I mentioned perfection in our work and in reference to health and fitness, it is not just our physical bodies that are impacted, but also our emotions and general well-being that can be perfected and analyzed. A person with many planets or strong planets positioned in the 6th house could notice great fluctuations in their health based just on their moods, because our emotions and our bodies work as one. They're one unit. This idea brings me to the sign of Virgo, which is closely related to the 6th house, of course, and has many of the same characteristics. It is a mutable feminine earth sign, so like the 6th house, it deals with kind of mundane and tangible aspects of everyday life, like an earth sign. And Virgo is represented by the symbol of a maid or a virgin. And Virgo, anglicized we pronounce it Virgo, is Latin for maiden. So that is what Virgo means. And in this illustration, the maiden is holding up 2 sheaves of wheat, which symbolizes the ideas of practicality and growing for further nourishment of others and the world, also with work and health. And that's another aspect of this sign. The written symbol represents the female reproductive system in its pure or virgin form, and with the last 2 lines of the curves left closed and untouched. And this sign is also the ruler of that part in human anatomy. The color of Virgo is a yellowish-green color, and its musical note is F. After learning about the 6th house and its place with work and practicality, as well as perfection and keen observation, it is no surprise that the definition or keyword of this sign is I analyze. Its planetary ruler is Mercury, which also plays a role in this sign's processes of analyzing and thinking. And those who have their suns in Virgo will most likely do a lot of analyzing and speculating. Even though Virgos are earth signs, their personalities tend to be more hidden, somewhat like that of water signs, mostly because they are so conscious of themselves and their environments that they may feel the need to carefully assess situations before crossing the thresholds of trust with others. But because they're so aware of everything that is going on, they're often described as conscientious and very caring. They can also be described as shy, extremely organized, analytical, highly intelligent, with Mercury being the ruling planet, practical, adaptable, and modest, but they can sometimes be hypercritical or pessimistic. And they can be really opinionated, and sometimes others can perceive Virgos as being rather haughty or cold, even. As I stated before, Virgo is a mutable sign, so individuals who have their sun in the sign can adapt easily to change if they have to, but they do not always take too well to criticism of their own faults, even though they're gladly able, at least, to criticize others. This does not by any means indicate that this is a bad sign, but it is a delicate sign. And unlike what Virgo means in Latin, it's the maiden, so it's kind of the young female form. So Virgo is definitely a feminine sign. It's delicate. Virgo is all about practicality and getting work done, but underneath all the work and mundane tasks lies a sensitive nature that is in actuality overly critical on itself. And most of the time, this sign does not need really much criticism, because Virgo is dedicated to work, and hard work and perseverance are key concepts with this sign. And planets positioned in the sign will usually blend its energies with similar concepts of the 6th house in regards to how one works and their level of practicality. And with the 6th house of Virgo having to do with work, purity, and sickness, as well as duty, this can remind us of the asteroid Vesta, which actually does not rule any particular sign, but if it did, then it would be Virgo. Now, the glyph for this asteroid is said to represent the sacred flame of an altar, or the fire of the home or the hearth. This asteroid takes its name from the Roman goddess Vesta, or Hestia, as she is referred to in Greek mythology. Now, unlike the 6th house and Virgo, Vesta does not deal as much with the mundane spheres of life, but more on the spiritual and sacred aspects of everyday life. So it's kind of the everyday rites of someone who follows a certain religion, or just their everyday routines that they do, maybe with superstition. Using the goddess Vesta with this asteroid, it brings to my mind the Vestal Virgins of ancient Rome, and not so much really the goddess herself. Now, in ancient Rome, the Vestal Virgins were kind of a group, or almost like a school of girls who were given at a young age and by their families, and who were mainly of noble birth to the empire, to keep the eternal flame of Rome lit constantly. And it was their main duty to see that this flame was always kept lit. And this duty at that time was so important to the Romans that these women or girls, since this group was bound to their duty until the age of 30 to uphold the sacred rite. And remember what I said about actually the 6th house, which is 25 to 30, it kind of goes with that. Also, because they had to do this until the age of 30. But this concept of working and perfecting such a mundane yet, at that time, religiously significant, if not superstitious task, encompasses the same ideas that are found with the asteroid Vesta, as well as the 6th house in Virgo. Now, Vesta is a point in one's natal chart that can tell how in which they themselves work or maintain their own spirituality or religion, even if they don't necessarily follow a religion, just how they maintain their own peace of mind, maybe, or what they believe and what they do with it. It's not so much the work for this world, but maybe the next, as some could see it. With Vesta, since like Juno, which I described in a previous video, Vesta is an asteroid, so it is not used too often by many astrologers when interpreting the chart. So it's probably not as important as Mercury or the Sun. In fact, some could argue that it has relatively no significance in astrology. So the fact that I'm even talking about it is complete nonsense. But that is something you can decide for yourself. But really, the idea of Vesta and the Vestal Virgins is an interesting aspect of. That has to do with the 6th house and a way of understanding the ideas and concepts that are expressed within the 6th house and the sign Virgo. So that will be all for this video. And watch out for my next video where I will be continuing through the houses and signs with the 7th house, Libra, and Venus. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to check out my website, sarastrology.moonfruit.com.